Hey everybody, welcome to another 2025 Age of Grogu. I've got with me
I
today
think this
Max
the
and
first of
Elijah.
2025. First of
It's 20,
2025.
yeah, first of
First of,
2025. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yeah, we've been kind
first
of
live stream.
yeah, between work and everything else, Sundays have been kind of a bit difficult to get everybody together, so we haven't been on for a little bit. I figured today's a good day. Jason hopefully will be joining us pretty soon. He's currently got family stuff going on, but guys, how's things? How's your movie watching and your show watching and stuff been the last month or so? What have you been up to? What have you been checking out? What have you been, how's things?
Okay, yeah. In the movie world, I went and saw Nosferatu, which I liked.
Oh, you did? Yeah. I haven't had
Yeah,
the
did
chance
either
to
of you
get
see
to the
Nosferatu?
theaters. I haven't had the
No,
chance to
I
yet.
haven't had a chance to see it
No.
yet.
Yeah,
I really
Yeah,
wanted
it's
to.
good. I mean, the
yeah,
the visuals and the look and
hmm
it's a Robert Eggers movie, so like,
yeah.
Yeah,
um, the visuals was really nice. The
Production
storyline
design.
might be production design's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
like I was like, well, God, where did they film this? This looks amazing. Like
yeah,
where was this? And it was
yeah,
like most of the no, but like the castle
yeah.
and the main street
Studio.
or the all built like they
Yeah.
built a back lot for like their main
Wow.
like city like the supposed to be Germany or like their main like
Yeah,
town
yeah,
that they were in. That
yeah.
was all built as a set on somewhere,
Wow. Damn.
and the castle the the
hmm
what a Nosferatu's castle or whatever
Mm.
was all built,
Cool.
but like totally sold it. Like I was shocked. I was like, wow, they built that. Okay, crazy. Like it
Yeah.
didn't look like it at all. It totally looked like it was real, like a real location somewhere.
Wow.
I'm like, must have been
Wow.
hell to like shoot in it, but they
Yeah.
just filmed it in some soundstage. So
Wow. That's crazy.
storyline was very like very Edgarsy. Like
hmm
it kind of dragged along, and like the main punch was at the very like last 10 minutes of the movie.
Right.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
but
No
I really
spoilers
enjoyed
though.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Oh, that's
spoilers. I'm
cool.
not like giving anything away, but it was
That's
all
cool.
the visuals and the look and the everything was really really nice.
Right.
So
That's cool.
I heard there's a great mustache in the film.
It's,
yeah, that the mustache works like it's better than your like like skinny bald Nosferatu looking guy. Like the
right.
look of him
Yeah.
was
The
very
makeup.
believable. The
That's
makeup
cool.
and the look
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
the
heard their Count Orlok
voice
is.
and
hmm
the
Was it all black and white?
yeah, the Count
Or
Orlok is. It looks like it's black and white, but it's color. But it's so drab and so like everything's so
interesting.
washed out. The colors, the
Okay.
palette of like everything. A lot of
Yeah.
it's at night or at dusk, so it looks like it could be
Uh-huh.
in black and white, but it's not. It's
Okay.
color.
Jason, how you doing? Happy 2025.
What up, guys?
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
New Year.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
just checking out what we've been checking out and stuff like that. Max, what have you been checking out this year? Last year into this year? What shows have
Oh,
you been watching?
Creature Commandos has
Yeah,
been
Yeah, I watched
pretty
that.
awesome.
yeah. I
What else
finished
have I
that.
watched?
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit
I don't
soon
know. I've been
enough.
watching Scrubs. Trying to think what else I've been
Oh, old
watching.
episodes of
Uh huh.
Scrubs.
Nice.
Yeah,
We didn't really
Yeah.
talk.
Which,
I think
which season?
we all watched
Squid
Squid
Games.
Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
oh, I
we
haven't
didn't
watched
really
it.
Oh,
talk
you haven't
about that
watched it yet?
here.
Still?
We
Oh,
talked
I
about
still
that.
haven't
okay.
watched season one. I'm
Oh
I'm
man.
not.
Really?
I haven't.
Not
I
your
don't
Oh
thing?
use
whoa.
Netflix except for Cobra Kai.
Uh
It's a
huh.
monoculture,
Oh.
bro.
I need to catch Cobra Kai. Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
haven't watched
cool.
Creature Commandos yet, though.
Okay. Oh, you haven't? Well, we've all been
I
watching.
put this up because
Yeah.
of Creature Commandos.
Uh
It's
huh.
not DC, but
Okay.
these characters are so much like the Creature Commandos
Right.
characters. I
That's
had to
cool.
pull it
I
up.
need to catch that.
Huh.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's all out now, so you could just binge it like in a day.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
If you got
yeah.
extra time.
It's an easy watch. Jason, what have you been up to as well?
Me and Liz have been watching. I've been making Liz watch Christopher Nolan movies.
Okay. All
Oh,
right.
okay.
Okay.
Just
Going
like
through his
what
catalog.
was it? I forgot why we were talking about it. Just like in conversation, just
hmm
talking about like Inception.
Sure.
She's like, I need to watch that again. And I was like,
Uh
let's watch it.
huh.
Let's
Fair enough.
watch
Fair
it.
enough.
So we watched that.
Yeah.
And then she really enjoyed it because she's like, "Oh wow, it made sense this time."
Yeah.
She's seen
Yeah.
it before, but then like,
Right.
and then next we watch Interstellar,
hmm
and then you know, we both really enjoyed that one. I like that one
I
specifically.
saw that Chris Nolan's got a new film coming out that he's going to start
Odyssey.
shooting this year.
He's doing the
Odyssey.
Odyssey.
The Odyssey, yeah. That's
Yeah.
going to be interesting. I mean, like
Oh,
that
dude,
is
I'm
it's
stoked, dude.
based on a mythological
Love
I just
the
can't
Odyssey.
believe no one's
so-
done that in like the last 20
Yeah.
years. Like it's
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
most famous stories of all time. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess so.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That is
I'm-
going
I'm
to be fun.
stoked about
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah,
That
last
seems like
night we
it'd be a 2 or 3 part movie, though. It doesn't
Yeah.
like
Right.
four
It's a long
hour long
story.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other question is, how is he going to do it? Is he going to do it a modern day version, or is he going to do the traditional Greek?
I think it's gonna be
you know?
traditional. I
already
think the
had-
modern day version of that's pretty hacky these
Uh-huh.
days.
Yeah.
Well, Oh Brother Where Art Thou was really good. I like that
Yes.
movie.
Right.
But
that wasn't modern. That was also
yeah,
Right.
it was relatively modern.
Okay.
yes, more modern than the Odyssey.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
The last Odyssey thing I remember, other than Oh Brother, is there's like a made-for-TV one
Probably
with
based around Greek times, right? Yeah. Greek mythology.
Well, yeah, it's the Odyssey. It's
Yeah, the actual. I mean, I'm saying actual Greek, an actual Greek
Oh,
one,
yeah,
not,
Actually,
not a
they
modern day
jumped
take.
forward in time and did it in
wasn't
Yeah.
space.
it wasn't anachronistic or whatever you call that.
Right, right. Uh huh.
But yeah. Oh, last night we watched Tenet.
I still haven't seen it
And
Okay.
you
yet.
put on
I
Memento
haven't
4
watched it
times in
yet.
a row.
Yeah.
I'm still confused. Like,
Yeah,
I get like, the
apparently
gist of
people are
certain
not.
things.
Most people are not who are a fan of his work are not a fan.
Okay,
of
I think
Tenet.
Tenet doesn't make sense. That's my whole
Okay.
thing. I think he
No,
doesn't
it
understand it
hurts my-
fundamentally.
It hurts my brain. I feel like
Okay.
he's the only one who understands it because
I
like
think
there's
he
a-
is. Yeah.
I've seen interviews with like actors, like
Mhm.
what's the main guy, Denzel's son. He
Mhm.
doesn't even get it.
Like I don't know. I just read
That's
the
funny.
lines and did what he asked me to do.
Yeah,
Protagonist.
fair enough.
But yeah,
As
it's,
a lore guy, that movie infuriates me because at one point the character just goes, "It doesn't make sense. Don't worry about it," and
Uh-huh.
you're just like, "Okay, I guess so."
Okay.
the
fair enough.
the girl in the beginning. It's like the first act. She's like, the more you think about the lesson, don't worry about it. Don't try to think
That's when I
about it.
checked out of the movie.
Right.
But it's still like, you know, I'm a Nolan fan,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna give it a shot. So
Yeah.
like, you know, that was like my 4th time watching it, and I'm still.
Yeah.
It
What?
hurts
Fair
my-
enough.
try to make sense of it. You
Fair
know?
enough. Yeah, I haven't got to the movies. I have not been in kind of a frame of mind to go to the movies. I've been either working or I've been exhausted, and I don't want to go to the movies and fall asleep in a movie. But there's so many movies that came out that I literally like. I missed Gladiator 2. I missed Wicked. I heard that was good.
Those are both on Amazon. You can rent them on
Yeah.
Amazon now.
Yeah, I know, but there's something about the big screen for these visuals.
Yeah, for
that,
sure,
You know,
for sure.
That I mean, it's still playing. I just haven't again had the time to get in there.
There's
or
still
or
wicked
energy.
sing-alongs in LA. I mean, those
Yeah,
theaters
sure.
have been pretty booked. If you want the full experience.
No, I do not want. I've never heard the musical. That's the thing. I've never actually seen or done the musical, so I don't know really the music. And I
It's
obviously
the
have
Infinity
premise.
War of musicals.
Fair enough. Yes.
Is it really?
I mean, kind of, not like crossover wise, but
Right.
it's like the part. It's definitely it's a part 1 of 2,
Yeah.
and by the end of the movie, it does feel very kind of Avengers-y in a way.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know
they-
how to explain it, but
They duned it, right? Like,
Dude.
it's
Yeah.
more Avengers-y than Dune. It's
Oh,
it feels
really?
more at the end of Infinity War than Dune.
Okay. All right.
well, I say that because like they didn't mention that it was going to be a 2-parter when it
Yeah.
Right.
released, so that's why I compare it to Dune, but I haven't
Mhm.
seen it either.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, again, not a lot of news. Obviously, you know, we haven't really talked too much about. I don't even think we talked about the
Depends on
Superman
what type
trailer.
of news you're talking about.
Well, I don't know. We're
I'm gonna
kind
say
of dating
pretty
back
slow
because
news week
yeah, it's
in
pretty.
LA
Well,
recently.
yeah, we're talking about
Yeah,
California.
well,
news.
yeah,
Not-
the fires and stuff like that. Yeah, there's
We should
been
at least
some tragic
mention that.
fires.
I mean,
yeah.
no one's watching
Yeah.
right now. But
No.
we should
Yeah.
be mentioning it. At least.
I guess
Yeah.
we're all say Max, you
Yeah.
had a power outage for a while.
Yeah, I was out of power for like about 2.5 days. I think
Wow.
three
How's your
yeah,
freezer
3 days ish.
thing in your
That's crazy.
Yeah, I survived. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't have crazy amount of food stocked up that was refrigerated anyway.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Jason,
Sometimes
how'd
the
you
freezer
fare out?
holds up for like 2 days, you know?
Yeah.
They just
yeah,
like turns back on and it's fine.
Yeah.
We're fine over here. I'm in South Los Angeles.
Mhm.
Nothing. We got some ash from the sky. I
Yeah.
did see on Tuesday. I was in Culver City,
Yeah.
and I could see the Palisades fire start.
Yeah.
I thought they were storm clouds
Right.
until we started smelling it, and I could see them moving. I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!" Like massive billows of smoke.
Yeah.
And then now it's a historical
Mm-hmm.
natural
Yeah.
disaster, and it's
Yeah.
just happening like everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
keep seeing people on Instagram, friends of friends who've
Oh,
lost things, and
yeah. There are people who have been
Yeah.
affected badly. Yeah. I mean, I've been lucky kind of in the valley. I mean, usually we get the fires to the north in Valencia, and that usually blankets the valley with smoke. And so far, apart from the winds, which is again turned really high again today, I get like allergies. My eyes have been irritated, but we've had no ash, no smoke, no nothing in the middle of the valley. It's been pretty tame compared. So it's like it's weird that we're completely unaffected, yet I can see the fires in all of the mountain ranges around me.
Elijah, you're pretty close, right? Were you pretty close to the
Yeah, I was close to the Sunset Fire, the
Yeah.
when Runyon Canyon caught on
Yeah.
fire. So and
Yeah.
that was just, I mean, directly over the hill. I mean, like
Yeah.
right over
Yeah.
the hill from where I'm at. If it would have
Yeah.
crossed over, I would have been a little worried. There were two home fires like on my side, but they're a little
Yeah.
further down towards like
Yeah, they were taken control.
Laurel Canyon.
Woodley fire got taken care of pretty quickly, and that's usually is that park area that always catches fire every
Right.
once in a while.
the Eaton fire. I couldn't help but think of Max's idea of turning Altadena into a parking lot. So we're almost there.
I've been thinking that for days. I kept saying it on stream
Like,
about
Oh
this-
gosh!
No, this is
man,
not
you
what I
shouldn't say
wanted.
that.
yeah.
And that's kind of the
Holy
that's kind of the worst
Uh-huh.
for homes, because those are
Yeah.
people who've had the home. Either they're passed on by family or
historical.
whatever. It's like
Yeah.
people,
generations.
Yeah.
you know,
generational homes,
generational homes that
Mm.
like people not necessarily have the money to go buy a new
Yeah.
home. You know, they're not millionaires. They're like
Yeah.
they're just lucky to have a home.
Yeah.
It's not
in
James
Altadena.
Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not James Woods or
Yeah.
whatever. It's not Steven Spielberg's home or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like they're not millionaire producer Hollywood types
Yeah.
or doctor
But-
or whatever. They're just
Here's
people
the
who've
thing.
had homes there.
Yeah.
And what I'm just saying is like a lot of the flatlands
Yeah.
burned. So just
Yeah.
it came down from the hill and just got like all of the homes like on the flatland, which is
Yeah.
pretty scary because it's going
Yeah.
into the main city and not just on the hillside or in the hillside.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the worst, I think.
Either way, it's a tragedy no matter what. I mean, it'd be horrible to lose your home. There's over 10,000 homes that have been destroyed
Oh, for
already,
sure.
from what I've read. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I was just
Yeah.
talking to a friend this morning about that, and it's like we were already short on housing California as it is. So all these people displaced, like, what are they going to do? Where are they going to go?
Yeah.
It's going to be years, like 5,
Oh,
6
sure.
years, 10 years before these
And-
homes are. I mean, it's going to take 2 years for them to clean up the area for them, and then it's
Yeah.
building, and
Oh, yeah.
it's going to take forever.
I
Where are
mean-
these people going to go? What are they going to do? It's not going to help
Yeah.
with work.
Yeah.
It's not going to help industry work pick up at all. It's just going to.
Yeah.
It's
With the rent
more
market.
bad news.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, take the taking the political side out of it, but the reality was a lot of the insurance companies pulled out of doing fire damage earlier this year, last year, apparently. So a lot of people don't have fire insurance for fire damage, and they all kind of
Yeah, they pulled it
Yeah.
like recently.
yeah, and so it's a really shocking thing that people who could have afforded to have had that sort of thing in those outskirts and those areas just simply have got no access to it, so they're left in the lurch, and it really is just a horrible, horrible thing to, from insurance companies. And again, I don't want to get too political and stuff like that, so I think we'll move back into the movies and shows and stuff like that.
That's
But
not political.
our thoughts-
That's just the reality.
yeah, that's a reality. Yeah, but the reality. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, our heart goes out to anybody who's obviously in a situation where they've been dehomed from from the fires, and it's still not over yet. We're still
Oh,
right
yeah,
in the
we
middle of
got
it. And we've got 3
2 more
days
days, 2
today.
more days,
Today,
yeah.
well, even
Could start
today's
all over.
windy. It's windy the valley right now, and
California's
I
only 11% contained. Like, think
Yeah.
about that. After all these
Yeah.
days, 11%.
Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
They
that's
ran out of
awesome.
water in the power.
Hey there, Anchorman. Stuck
Yeah.
at work, but you're still here. That's cool, man. Yeah. Anyway, getting back to stuff that's going on. Yeah, you guys have been watching Skeleton Crew.
Oh yeah.
Well, two
I
of us
finally
have.
watched it. I finally was able to catch
Yeah,
it.
you got the
My Wi-Fi was
episode
out, and then
7.
I was like, "Oh, that's
Uh
weird. My
huh.
Wi-Fi's out." And then, like 2 hours
Yeah.
later, my whole power went out.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I won't go too much into detail with episode 7. We did a reaction to it, Elijah and myself. But man, I've been like, we haven't had the chance to even talk about it as a group, yet. I'm loving this show. I think it's an incredible.
So good.
It's such a
Yeah.
great Star Wars
Really
show. Yeah.
well written and like
Yeah.
overall, like
Yeah.
season wise, like solid. It's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to rewatch the whole show. Easy.
That lightsaber scene in this recent episode was crazy. That
Okay.
completely caught me off guard.
So many people have been saying, no, Jod's going to get a get a redemption arc and stuff like that. I've been sitting there going,
after that,
I don't, no. Even before that, I was like, I don't think Jod is going to have a redemption arc. I think he's going to remain the bad guy. And boy, was I right. I mean, come on, that stuff.
it's
That
gonna be interesting to rewatch it and view it as him not helping the kids whatsoever, but just their means to the end. Because
oh, sure,
he switched up hard.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He didn't even
a
try and
time
get
that
the we all win.
at a time that makes sense for a pirate. you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
works for him. It's
Yeah.
selfish and just
Oh, completely.
Like
Yeah.
it.
And
I like that. He's just so frustrated with the kids. Like, shut up.
but the performance between
He would have
both...
killed him if only the show was rated R.
Funny. But the performance between Jude Law, who I normally am not a fan of, but between his performance and the reactions of those kids are phenomenal. They are so natural for me to watch and enjoy. And I feel like that kind of element is what has been missing a little bit from Star Wars for me. I've been enjoying all the shows. I keep saying there's going to be stuff that will work and not work. Everyone's going to either love or hate something. I've been enjoying everything Star Wars has been coming out, but for me, this is what's been missing in every other show.
Different.
What I felt like as a kid is what I'm feeling from Skeleton Crew when I watch Star Wars, if that makes any sense. I enjoyed that element of being a kid, watching Star Wars for the first time and having that memory, such a vivid memory of watching those movies and playing with the toys and everything, that I would create my own world with these toys. And these characters, the kids in this show, are my memories as a kid. And I think that's what's been sparking a lot of people to really enjoy this show. And I feel like there's a lot of people who are not watching it because they're like, we're dealing with a show with kids. It's another Star Wars show. But
Well, I don't
they
think it's
really should
just
give it a
that.
chance.
I think there's a bigger problem. I think the bigger problem with the Star Wars shows recently is that they've all been about people introducing other things, connected to other properties, other shows, other whatever. And I think that's when the whole idea of the glup shido is killing Star Wars thing kind of came about every show and every episode that was like, this is that guy from that thing meeting this guy from that thing, doing this thing together.
Right.
And I think with the show is just completely different. It's just new characters who aren't from established lore or anything else. They're just new characters and new things and aren't attached to anything.
Yeah,
it's not you're not waiting for the cameo. You're not like, is Luke going to swoop in and save them?
Yeah.
It's always what I'm asking for, just the less reliance on the fan.
Yeah.
On like was it the fanfare or whatever?
Because that's when everything turned, when everything was like glup shit out, every character. Like, you saw that book of Boba Fett when Cad Bane showed up, and then the hardcore fans were like, oh yeah, and the casuals were like, I only know who Boba Fett is, I don't know who Cad Bane is, and they're doing an awful lot of fanfare for this Cad Bane guy.
Yeah, the fan service has been the ultra reliance on fan service is what kind of
that you've watched previous stuff and previous materials and animated shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like it shouldn't have to depend on that. And I feel like those kind of they lacked everywhere else, and that kind of relied on like the appearance of all these cameos.
Right.
And that's what the reaction culture feeds off of. And if you're just making, it seems like Boba Fett was made for like YouTube reactions. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's like let's
Yeah, I
think
can
about
see
that, but nothing
Yeah.
else. You know,
Mhm.
where this one, like, really, it's just like a good look into the Star Wars world
Right.
without the reliance on any fan service, and
Yeah.
that's that. Star Wars could handle itself without putting a familiar face in. You know,
If done
Yeah.
right, because they could also do it
well,
very
I'm not
wrong.
saying
Yeah,
they
yeah,
shouldn't.
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, don't rely on that.
Sure. Yeah,
Yes.
That's what I've been saying for like
yeah.
a lot of these shows. Where if it wasn't for the fan service they did, it's not a good show. You know, it's like
Yeah, yeah,
the only thing holding some shows up.
yeah.
And I think Star Wars is better than that. You know. So yeah,
Sure.
that's what's good about this one. It's a nice fresh
Yeah.
take. It's well written.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Character chemistry is great.
yeah,
That's also a thing we lack a lot in a lot of these Star Wars shows.
yeah.
Is just
No, I agree there.
good characters. Not
Yeah.
doing like, and what's great
Well,
is that like
good
we
characters,
can,
but the chemistry's not always there. There's some
yeah,
fun new characters. Yeah.
well, what the thing is, like, we get so caught up with like characters doing stupid stuff, but
Yeah.
when they're kids, you're like, oh, they're a kid.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's
Button,
not
you
even.
idiot.
But
Damn it,
Right.
Wim.
but
But
the
then I
thing
let
is
it
that
slide because
Yeah.
there's something more endearing about him than like
yeah.
than a lot of like decisions that these adults make in a lot of the other shows.
But
I
Han
thought it-
Solo's a big kid. I mean, he'll go running down the corridor in the Death Star,
There's no
shooting at
complaint-
Stormtroopers, and
there's
then
no
turn around.
complaint-
And,
no one
no,
complains about
no,
that.
no. But
that
no,
thing,
but
you know?
but what I'm saying, no. But I'm not saying. I'm actually saying that those elements of humor where Han Solo then turns the corner as the whole pile of stormtroopers and he comes running back the other way going, "Ugh." Like we're getting that from this show. We're getting those moments of where they're like, Wim jumps in the cockpit into the gun turret and starts shooting at X-wings. And just like that moment of excitement that you see on both the character, the actor,
It's an adventure.
and
It's
and the
true
adventure. And
Yeah.
and those moments are
Adventure
like those moments are too serious in other Star Wars series. So it's like get in.
Well, they
it's
try
like
to serialize it, and it
it's like
doesn't feel like an adventure anymore. They're
yeah. It
trying
doesn't.
to
That's it.
shoehorn
Yeah,
more plot elements in it,
yeah.
and they try to make these seasons have these big arcs
Yeah.
instead of making the season have this big fun
right.
feel
But-
and adventure to it where you don't know
and
where
that's
it's
it.
going to go. I think
Yeah.
every Mando season has that point where he loses Grogu, who has to take
Sure.
his mask off, and you're kind of expecting
Yeah.
it.
And
for
it's
this
and
new
it's
season.
it's more drama with it rather than the fun and the adventure.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
I
need the
feel like
whimsy. You need the
Yeah,
whimsy in
that's
these
it.
shows.
Yeah, and this is giving us the right amount of whimsy and still the right amount of everything else in something I was not. I don't think any of us were expecting that from this show. That's the weird thing.
Well, all we heard was a troubled production. All we heard was that we didn't hear
Yeah.
any plot details.
Yeah.
They were very uptight about plot details. Then we heard
Yeah.
that production was spotty and there were some issues on it and a lot of reshoots.
which I might add is a Star Wars tradition.
It seems
Yes.
to be, yeah.
But there's also a lot of big name directors attached to it, like the Daniels and
Yeah.
what's his name that did Spider-Man. There's a lot of
Yeah.
big name.
John Watts.
It's his thing, right? That's
It's his thing,
Yeah.
yes.
story.
He's the showrunner. He directed the first two episodes. I think did he shoot? I can't remember if he directs the last episode or not. But we have one more episode left. I'm excited to see where this show ends.
But it's also weird for a Star Wars project to get this many big directors and then not to play it up almost at all. Like
yeah.
you haven't seen them advertise about how it's basically like the Avengers of modern directors coming together to do the Star Wars adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still no word yet. I guess it will depend on how many views this series gets. The problem, I think, still is that the small amount of people talking about this show are the ones that have been sticking through thick and thin, and I feel like a lot of the Star Wars viewership has dropped off. And we know from The Acolyte there was less viewership than there was than the previous show. And I think this show is sitting even less views than The Acolyte, which is scary because I thought The Acolyte was very good in very different levels and very different ways, and I enjoyed it immensely. But it didn't have the viewership for them to say, let's do a season 2. So I'm hoping this show does get a season 2.
I don't think it
based
will.
on- Yeah.
I just don't think it's designed for a season 2.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know
doesn't
what
need-
they
is
would.
it-
Well, it could be a
Oh.
totally different set of adventures. I mean, I'm fine picking up a few years later with the kids. There's no
or not even just the kids,
yeah.
but like more stuff like this. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to necessarily
Yes.
be these characters,
Mm.
but they should
Yeah.
take note from like how well this is
Sure.
received
Oh
critically.
yeah.
Because like the rating things on viewership, I feel like has issues. You know,
Yeah.
like I know that's how they like
Oh
measure
no, I agree.
success
Right.
for things.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's like the same thing we were talking about in the text of like, what's his name talking about the 4 quadrants or why the Flash failed, and I think it's these all these archaic ways of looking at viewership
Yeah.
and measuring
Yeah.
how well things will succeed is just so outdated these
Trying
days.
to break it down to a science, you know.
Yeah.
They always like try to
Let me
find
laugh hard about the
something
Flash. About like the
Yeah.
Flash isn't exact like
Hmm.
technically, if you want to get like pedantic about it, it is a 4 quadrant movie because if you want to talk about old people, the Flash was created
Yeah.
in their
But-
generation. Like
But ultimately for streaming, it's the repeat viewing. They want you to go back and rewatch this stuff again and again. And some cases people will, and some cases people watch it once and go whatever. And in some cases, people say, I'm done with that genre. I'm done with the Marvel. I'm done with the Star Wars. And
yeah,
they
I think
move
that's
on,
what
they
happened.
don't, and they
with
don't.
these IPs.
Yeah, and that's what happens. So ultimately, that's why we're not getting a lot of input as to what are the new Star Wars TV shows in the near future, because they haven't put the effort. They're putting their effort back to the big screen with feature films.
Well, do you
know.
think instead of like lack of fatigue, do you think it became a lack of trust with some of
I
these?
think that has a lot to do with
IPs?
that too. Yeah,
I think so.
It's not even about fatigue,
yeah.
like too
after-
many.
You're talking about trust from the audience to view.
Yeah, the trust
Yeah.
that we're going to invest our time in a show and it's going to not
Sure.
only be good, but
Yeah.
potentially,
Yeah.
if it is something like connected to a larger universe, that it will pay off to something else and not just be a waste of time. And
Yeah.
some of these shows, it just felt like excuses for them to say, "Well, we took your $12 a month. Here's your content," and they haven't really amounted to
Right.
and like
much.
reaching a quota
Sure.
just to like
Yeah, it felt like reaching a quota
Right.
show.
yeah. Well, it's like the mistrust I think comes from like say what we experienced from Marvel after watching like Secret Invasion.
Sure.
You're just like, oh, I'm just let down so hard that like
Well,
the
no.
thought of like another Marvel show, you're just like, oh no, that last one really sucked.
But then they got better
Yeah.
again. That's like Agatha All
Yeah.
Along was a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah, we
Yeah,
loved
but then
Agatha,
it, like-
but how is
yeah,
someone
it
going
was
to want to
great,
check
but
that out
then-
when they got burned so bad with Secret
Yeah,
Invasion?
exactly. Like
Yeah.
sometimes a show could be so bad that the next one coming up is going to lose viewership because they fucked
Yeah.
up so bad before, you know? I feel like Star Wars is experiencing a lot of that.
Elijah, any thoughts, sir? So, I try to cut it.
I mean, I agree with all you guys. I mean, I was trying
Uh-huh.
to
Yeah.
squeeze in there, but
Yeah.
yeah, I agree that it helps to have it not be completely attached to other characters. It just it broadens the world of the Star Wars galaxy to not have something completely attached, but still feel like it's in the world, and so like it's like
Yeah.
Star Wars.
And
Just
the thing,
the kid adventure helps a lot.
Sure.
The kid adventure helps a lot to where it's you know young or old, like you're still rooting for these kids, and you could still feel you still feel it, and Jod's yelling at him like, just shut up, I'm tired of you yelling, and just shut
God,
up.
it was
You're
so
like,
dumb.
okay,
It was so great. But
it's
but
like,
that's part of that
like getting
whimsical
yelled at when
fun
you're a
though,
kid and
even
you're
though
like-
he's
you get that-
serious. Yeah.
when you're a kid and you get yelled
Yeah,
at and you're like,
yeah.
ugh, you get that kind of like
But
That's what it was in that last episode.
But-
was the getting your breath taken away when it
Yeah.
becomes suddenly super serious.
oh, totally,
Yeah.
yeah. But the thing is, they could still add aliens we've seen before. We've seen all these different background aliens,
sure.
droids.
I mean, that's what makes
and
it in the Star Wars world.
and they even
fine.
threw a lightsaber into it, and
Yeah.
it doesn't feel unwarranted. So you could
Right.
still add the stuff that makes Star Wars feel Star Wars, and yet give us something completely brand new
But
that
they're
is
not
not
really
trying to
talking
be.
about
It's
the dark
that stuff
side,
is
light
not
side, the
fan service.
Force.
That's the
It feels-
universe. It's
No,
created.
yeah, it feels earned. Though.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's what's great about that lightsaber. Because,
Sure.
like, and the way like Wim tries to turn it on, it's the wrong.
God.
God, that was
Ooh.
great.
I called that it was upside down. I swear it was.
I always
it was
think
good,
like,
yeah.
how does that ever
Yeah.
happen to anyone? Like, they just
Um,
grab one and
just that meme of Luke holding the lightsaber backwards in
Yeah.
A New Hope.
You gotta
was
be like
good.
careful
That's
how
was
you're
about-
holding it, because you have to, you
That's
got it
it.
near the crotch, and you're like ready to like strike it.
Yeah.
You you
luckily
might-
he was holding it like that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was looking at that moment. I was like, don't turn it on.
Drooling.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Like yeah,
yeah,
this is great. This take
yeah,
note. This is how I
yeah,
want Star Wars to be.
yeah. And not every show should be like this, but at the same time, this is the vibe that needs to kind of come out of the
If you're
situation.
doing like
And
IPs, I mean, I think it's best to use them wisely. It's not best to
yeah,
just throw a bunch of things because you own them. I think
yeah,
compared to like look at what Sony has done with their Spidey universe that hasn't really gone anywhere, and
yeah,
compared to how all these other people are trying to like individual storylines and stuff. Like
yeah.
even compared to like something like Fast and Furious, which is an IP, which just they saw how to succeed and they
Hey,
stuck in
Ted.
one lane. They didn't try and
Uh
copy everything else. They just stuck to dumb meathead car
huh.
stuff.
Yeah. How's it going, Ted? But
What's the
yeah, no, I
meathead
agree.
car stuff you're talking about? What is that?
What's that?
Well, I just mean, think about how like people get these IPs and then they just try and do whatever they can with it and
Yeah.
to try and make money instead of focusing on what makes the IP work.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
Star Wars works because it's an adventure story with
Yeah.
whimsy and heart and
Mm-hmm.
all these other big things attached to it.
Yeah.
And I think other people who are doing IP stuff that doesn't work because
Yeah.
they lose the identity of what it's supposed to be about. I think Book
Sure.
of Boba
Yeah.
Fett was like that in a lot of ways, where it wasn't a bad show, but
Yeah.
no one wanted to go see Boba Fett go into the desert and stop being Boba Fett.
Right. That's that. I think that's the biggest takeaway from Book of Boba Fett, because give them Tatooine, you could do that. You can get them all this, everything, but it's still just it didn't quite work in all those ways that are missing from
Yeah, that was a lot of people
taking away from that character.
a lot of people consider that a character assassination.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't
Like, kinda
disagree. I
lost
mean,
lost his luster.
But
He was so cool with
it's a
less you knew
retcon.
about him.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a heavy retcon of the character from taking
Yeah.
this badass guy from even the Clone Wars stuff where you got a peek of him in the show where you saw kind of his path being this grizzled assassin and then to kind of retcon that into him being a warlord who doesn't do wars is just I don't even know.
No motivate. I don't know what his motivations were at all.
Yeah.
You
Well, his motivations
Like,
was
was
he
it-
saw that people were persecuted and he's like, that's not
I thought it
good.
was like
Yeah.
I thought it was just like Sarlacc stomach acid poisoning or something.
That would be the best
personality.
retcon. That's what there's a Sarlacc poisoned his brain.
He like forgot he went back to it and like forgot his suit. Like he's like, oh, where's my seat? I gotta go back to the Sarlacc.
Anyway, other things. This got announced on the Ahsoka official site. Season 2 now in development with Dave Filoni, which means they're going to be shooting later this year.
And we
I've
got
heard.
some casting.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
some casting info too.
Well, yeah, I'll go into that in a second too. I was going to say, with Ahsoka, from what I understand, all the rumors are that they're going to be shooting in England instead of the United States this next second film. So we're going to get some definitely British influence, as I call it, as to between the design and the
Well,
the
I think the
landscapes
mountains,
and everything.
they're probably
The
gonna
mountains.
shoot in a
Oh,
lot of
sure.
the mountains in
Yeah.
England.
No, I feel like we're gonna get some cool different things. I'm hoping that season 2 will bring a different flair than what season 1 did. And as much as I enjoy the character and characters, I feel like there was some flair that was missing from season 1 that I'd like to see into season 2. But yeah, again, this other information is casting room. It's still rumor, but no one's officially confirmed it. But Rory McCann, who
I saw
played the
Variety
Beast-
post it, and they're usually pretty
yeah.
on point.
Until Lucasfilm make an official announcement, it sounds like Roy McCann, who was
He's the Hound.
the Hound in Game of Thrones, and was a friend of Ray
Yarp.
Stevenson's, is going to be replacing Ray Stevenson
Yarp.
as Balin Skrull.
Yarp.
So
Yarp.
so yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they are not kind of CGing that character. I'm glad they're not writing
you
that
can't do
character out.
that.
It's an interesting character, and it was one of the really interesting characters I thought in the entire series of Ahsoka. So it's good that they're going to continue with a different actor portraying that character and making it his own. So if that is the case, then we're gonna see more of Balin Scroll, and I'm curious to know more about that character. I wish we had more in season 1, but
I also
we'll
heard
get
that the actress who plays Shin Hati insists on smoking cigarettes during all of her scenes this season.
Death sticks.
Okay.
Whole pack. It's got a whole carton of death sticks.
There, yeah. As of today, guys, look at this. 100 days till Andor season 2 drops. That's as of today itself.
boy.
Yeah, yeah. That was today's little drop.
Ben Mendelsohn.
So, yeah, he's
fellow Aussie. Brent, are you excited?
Well, I mean, it'd be good to see his character return. You know, Kramik, director Kramik. I don't know what role capacity. Obviously, it's going to be related around the Death Star and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's like one of the architects. Not like the architect, but like it's his brainchild.
Oh, sure, no, exactly, yeah, and I'm excited to see it. I'll look, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, how's it go, Edna? Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I need to revisit season 1. I felt season 1 was quite the opposite of Skeleton Crew, where it was not aliens and stuff in the background and not huge. It was a solid story. It was an incredible story, but it has the same amount of
it has the same amount of aliens that are in the first Star Wars.
You think so?
Yeah, all together.
What?
Most of the aliens you see are like in the the cantina. Everyone else is like human.
Yeah, but there weren't a lot of droids, and there weren't a lot of.
But that's my point.
It was missing a bit of the whimsical. It was a little too serious.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're going to be getting 4 sets
great.
of stories.
This is it proves that Star Wars could be different genres. You know.
Totally. I agree
gift
too.
Andor is giving us.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be this like whimsical. Thing.
No, but I feel
shows
like
that it works as something serious also.
Yeah, but it was a little too for my personal enjoyment. It was a little too serious throughout. But I am looking forward to seeing what they do with. They're going to have 4 sets of stories, 3 episodes per year, leading up to the Rogue One film, and it will take place. So I'm curious to see what they do. I'm curious whether they're going to take. I'm curious whether it's just going to be a moment in the 1 year, or whether it's the course of the year that these 3 episode arcs are going to be taking place on. I don't know how that's going to play out.
I don't know, but I'm happy with Tony Gilroy taking the lead and taking me somewhere. Tony. Yeah.
Well, we get 12 episodes coming of that, and that's going to be definitely later in the year. So, that's the one to look forward to this year. Star Wars Celebration, of course, is in April, so we'll probably get a bunch of new announcements and stuff like that.
Where are they doing
movies. They're doing it in Japan this year.
Okay.
There's no movies coming out this year. They finished shooting the Mandalorian and Grogu, but it won't be released until 2026 at this point in time. So it'll be fun to see what they do there. I don't think it's going to have any greater impact in the universe outside of the Mandalorian.
I have a theory that it's also not going to perform as well as they think it will.
Really? I mean,
I think they think it's going to make $1 billion, and I can see it doing pretty well, but not $1 billion.
I don't know if it'll get up that high. I've got a feeling that it will do well enough. I mean, they've got a whole year and a half at this point to work on post-production.
I'm still hurt from like season 3.
Yeah,
a lot of people are hurt from season 3, and this is its. From what I understand, this is its own separate story. It's not necessarily related to anything.
That's even worse, though. It's like there's so much stuff that they kind of needed to wrap up in the show, and instead they're like, wait for the movie.
Sure.
And the movie is going to be like, here's this new threat. His name is Klebar Klobo. He's got 1 million hydro nukes, and it's just like, man, it could be. Can stop him. Like, I don't even know at this point.
It could be. It could be. I mean, if it's that, it's that. But it's going to be fun to see. I like the little snippet that leaked from what was it from?
Yeah, but all it
was
was
one of the
Mando
conventions.
flying, and we saw that in the show.
Well, we saw them, like the walkers, and we saw him on the on the
But that's all
ATRT,
stuff that
and
like I don't get why they would transition from a TV show to a movie when there was so much stuff that they didn't accomplish in the show already. Like by the end of the
Sure.
show, so many elements felt either very wrapped up too quickly or
I
not
guess.
wrapped up at all.
I guess, yeah. I mean, there is definitely things open-ended and loose, but that's always what Star Wars has done. It's left a lot of leftover open and loose stuff. You know, the Skywalker family story arc was usually pretty contained.
I know, but compared to the shows, like something like Clone Wars was very comprehensive. Same with Rebels.
Well, I mean, the Clone Wars though kind of did 3 to 4 episode arcs, and they kind of were contained stories. But then every once in a while, some of those arcs would bleed into others, but not often. So you'd be still left with
Yeah, but you
where
saw
where does that set of characters
that time
go?
period in the war compared to something like Mandalorian, which hasn't really explored that much of the post Luke Skywalker saving the galaxy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, with Skeleton Crew, we're getting that whole, who's coming into power post Empire, and there's obviously the pirates are a big power out there. So I'm kind of curious. I would be more interested in what's happening with the influence of, say, the cartels, the Hutts or the syndicates or the Pikes. I want to, because without the Empire keeping those guys at bay, that's got to be a thriving industry in this time.
They tried to show that us in Book of Boba Fett, and
we got snippets.
They didn't have the capability to do that in that few episodes. I think those types of stories are shown really well in video games.
Right. Well, we got the Outlaws.
Yeah, that was also Outlaws was all about the razor thin margins between the razor thin alliances between factions and the people who live on the planets to try and work together to.
I'm invested in seeing that. I am invested in seeing that.
Yeah, no, I
more
want to see that. I think it's more exciting. They do that a lot in the comics too. With some those still take place in the original trilogy time period. Yeah. I do think there's a big story to tell out there, post Empire of the syndicates and how they kind of control stuff with the New Republic not being able to contain them, because they'd obviously have much more widespread influence than the New Republic initially, and it would take a lot of time to kind of for those power balance to shift into anything marginally livable in some of these worlds.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that we're getting a little bit about the pirates, and we're not getting like full arcs or anything like that. We're just getting
we're just seeing how they're able to operate. I mean, they're able to have their own planets and their own kind of fleets and their own not armies, but their own coalition amongst themselves, which is super interesting to see how there's been very little New Republic
and there's
intervention between them.
They have a code too, a code of ethics among the pirates and rules. That's kind of cool. Yeah, which is like Earth rules, it's the same.
Absolutely.
They still have no rule against killing children. They're pretty open to that.
The children pirates.
Spoilers here, but when John takes out Brutus this week, like Brutus was in a position where he was nothing. It was just cold blood. It was like, damn, I still question
the opportunity.
Yeah.
And, I was hoping, well, kill him now. That's what I thought when I saw that. I was like, right, the next.
But when he did it was like, whoa!
It's like, nice, killed him. Yeah, that's what I like about this show. Like the writing's solid, because like in the early episodes, it's like, dude, he could have gotten the keys this whole time. And then in the next episode, one of the kids refers to that. They're like, why didn't you just get the keys? That's good writing. When you question it, and
when you question it and it gets exactly. I do enjoy that.
We lack that a lot in like Acolyte and Ahsoka, because we like the characters would do like things and it wouldn't get addressed. But
I mean, Ahsoka was very weird with a reconnection of characters after all that time.
Same with Mando. I think everything with Gus Fring's plot at the end of it was just so many holes and questions more than answers.
Yeah, that was a letdown of a great villain who started off as a really cool villain. Yeah.
This show has been the opposite of that. We're introduced to a really cool mystery, and throughout the show we were super invested in what is that and who's controlling it and why. And
the mystery's still there. We haven't been so far we've still got questions that need to be answered.
Unless next week it turns out it's been all a dream, I'd say like
yeah.
It's been pretty good mystery throughout the show.
No, I agree. I'm excited to see. We will definitely be doing a reaction.
Did you guys like their ship getting peeled like a roasted marshmallow?
It was gorgeous. It was
you took the marshmallow off and it's all sleek underneath.
So unexpected too.
And not only that is like a cool thing that happens, but it makes sense because it was in disguise as an ship. Yeah. So like now it's like a sleeker thing that belongs to something else. So that makes sense.
If you go to the week before when you see the hologram of Tak Renan, who's the pirate, who's long gone, and you don't see his face or anything, but he actually mentions there the new updates have been done, or the covering, or something. He says something specific in relation to he's just done something, but you don't know what it is. And it's related to the ship. He's done the covering. He's hidden the ship in its new shell, which is the old look. So
yeah, good stuff.
Again,
man.
It's all thought out. It's all there in the pieces. And if you go back and rewatch it, you actually see those pieces.
That's what I mean. Like it's airtight writing for something, and that's like it's a fresh take. It's fresh to see that in Star Wars again.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's funny. The only problem we've had with this show was that one part with the woman they go see to help them, the navigator woman, and we were like, why did she let the kids go with Jod when she already called the police on him? And that was the only problem we've seen in the whole show.
See, you talk about.
We talked about this on my stream where she called for the reward, not the fact that he's a threat to anyone.
I mean, I mean, that's what I mean. It's like, it's
but like she's like, whatever. These kids will be fine. Like, I'm not worried about him. I just wanted the reward. That's why she called.
Yeah.
So I didn't see she didn't see him as a threat. She's like he's a friend, but she's a backstabber. So they are. They all are.
Yeah.
You know, he would.
Well, they're in some way they're all pirates in their own little ways. So they're all looking for their own advantage and stuff like that. So, but either way,
that owl character gave me like a old Labyrinth vibe. You know, that era of movie making, just like an animal character. That's great.
It reminded me of Archimedes from the animated what's it called, Robin Hood from the Disney era.
I think Clash of the Titans.
The Clash of the Titans and the Clash of the Titans too. Yeah.
Mechanical owl.
Yeah.
An owl.
Yeah. But it was all a puppet. She was a puppet. Oh, they CG'd the eyes and the mouth, but the actual piece was a puppet. The use of practicals, guys, on this show. I got to bring this up.
The stop motion crab. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Giant stop motion crab. That's nuts, dude. I didn't know that was stop motion.
Yeah. Yeah, all stop motion. There's a great little behind the scenes. Awesome. They use this is a matte painting they use of the background. They actually use an old-fashioned matte ground painting, and the ship itself, the Onyx Cinder, of course, is another miniature model, which you're looking up close, you can see all the details of this ship on the miniature. It's just like it's so good.
Ship always gets extra points for me if it exists in the real world.
Oh yeah,
in some form,
Yeah. And it's still funny. They made the Lego version of the Onyx Cinder, but of course it's now shed its skin. Are they going to make a second one, or are they going to make one with it? You
should be able to build the new one.
The Legos off.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, just take those pieces off. It should be able to.
Another ship.
Peel it like a marshmallow.
Peel it. That's it. Yeah. I'm sure they'll make a second version.
That's not the word I was thinking when I was watching the peel, but
yeah.
That's it. That's all I can think of. Like when you toast a marshmallow, then you peel it off. It's all sleek underneath. I was like, it peeled like a marshmallow.
Yeah. So 2025 is an anniversary of a whole pile of things, by the way. 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens. It's 10 years since that came out this year.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
20 years since Revenge of the Sith is this year.
It emotionally feels like
45 years. Yeah, 45 years of The Empire Strikes Back, and 40 years of Back to the Future is this year too.
Well, the 40 of the Back to the Future is kind of nuts.
I know. It's crazy. We've got all these these major,
What'd I say?
major
Like,
ones.
if Back to the Future took place today, they'd be going back to the 90s.
Yeah, I know. That's just
scary.
insane.
That's the year I graduated high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go back
there
to
was
the 50s in the old one, and it's like such a different world. And then, you could easily go back to the 90s, and it would be a different world.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. See, because we
like,
lived
hey,
it.
the music's good again.
Yeah, but because we
song does he
lived it,
play?
it's like it would be weird. It'd be like, no, not this time period again. I hate the 90s. But yes. I don't know.
What song would Marty play at the dance in the 90s?
Oof.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
Well, he would have to take but he would take
I was thinking either Nirvana or it'd go the other way.
No,
and
they didn't play Nirvana at school dances, guys. Like, that's, I wish.
Yeah, you do Baja Man.
Wish they
Baja
did.
Boys.
Well, I mean, they were like, oh, what the hell is this at the end? Where they're like, they weren't expecting.
Oh, what would he?
Johnny
Oh,
B.
that's what you mean.
He played Johnny Be Good, but
Yeah,
it was that's still a few years in the future kind of thing. But it's still his past, but their future. So it's like it would have to be something in the late '80s. It'd be like playing a piece of music from. Sorry,
Play the Stroke.
Sorry, not the late '80s. Not the late '80s. Sorry, from the 2000s. I'm sorry, from the 2000s. Yeah, 2010s kind of
They
thing.
played a
some
Stroke
song.
I don't even know what kind of music was played. Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
That's the thing. Like, the music genres were like so in flux at the time. Like, it wasn't such a stark difference from like rock and roll being introduced in the 50s. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's kind of hard to repackage. It's hard to repackage that.
Sure. Yeah.
To like something that is
that
is kind of timeless but still like anachronistic.
Yeah.
At the same time. So I
agree.
I think it'd be possible to redo that.
Hey,
Brent doesn't like music in general. He only likes.
I don't know why he doesn't like them. There were no major Star Wars that came out that decade.
It was a tough year. I mean, we got the Timothy Zahn novels. That was it.
There were no like Star Wars releases.
There was no toys at the beginning of the first part of that decade.
Brent's favorite song for the 90s
until the 80s, until the late 90s, till 97.
Specialized edition, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Brent's favorite song, the new Jabba the Hutt Jedi rock song or whatever.
No.
That's your favorite song from the 90s because you don't even like.
Give me lap to neck any day. I don't know. Yeah, guys.
Why you hate the 90s so much, Brent?
I just never liked the
music.
90s.
He doesn't like songs.
I didn't like the music in the 80s either. That doesn't really matter.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you don't like songs.
Era.
You don't like music with
lyrics.
The
90s era was I don't know. I just didn't like the 90s.
Brent was like, the post 9/11 is my favorite, dude. It's just 9/11 hit, and then like the world felt different. I like that.
Mid 90s, 93 to 97 was like the last time music was good.
Yeah.
The last time there was a lot of options and everything was good, and there was a big boom in music, and it was popping.
90s is
subcultures and music videos and.
Yeah, that's a rare opinion because the 90s is looked at as a.
I was in college in the early 90s, so I kind of hated that time period and that time frame, and everything was
my college years.
Okay,
man.
you hate music.
Yeah, that too.
Music as in music with lyrics and bands, not.
Yeah.
I know you like it for
Elijah takes that personally.
Anytime he knows a song, it's because it's on a soundtrack of his that he has. It's
there you go.
Oh, this is from Minions Part 2.
Yeah, I work with Brent. Like, the most
soundtrack
music you hear is from the Shrek soundtrack. Well, I guess now you like there's other things now. Like there's other soundtracks with more stuff.
Whatever, like Minions or like Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever. Like those are the only songs that he knows because it's from the soundtrack.
Brent knows who Pharrell is because of that.
Right, Happy.
Anyway, whatever.
The Happy song.
Brent. Sorry, grilling you, dude.
That's funny.
Let's talk about Superman before we have to end this.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. Oh yeah. Well, we'll talk a little bit about Creature Commandos. All right. So who's
Jason hasn't seen it yet. We can't talk about it.
We won't talk about details.
Jason hasn't seen it.
No, we won't talk about details.
Next week.
But
Jason hasn't seen it. He's gonna watch it next week. It's good.
I just want to do a generalization. What did you for those who watched it? Did you enjoy it? Did you?
Yeah. Is it good?
Some episodes were 10 out of 10. Some episodes didn't hit quite as hard for me.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a formula to it, not spoiling anything, of just the way it shows the characters' backstories.
The James Gunn formula works well in this case for characters.
It works well with these characters, but it did feel a little formulaic by the end of the season of each episode showing a different backstory to some of the characters. And I think because of that, some of the characters didn't get the time to shine outside of their episodes. I would have liked to see a little more Rick Flag.
Yeah. I think the only one who stood out all the way through was the Bride. I think she was the one who.
The Bride was good. Yeah. But also Frankenstein was barely in the show, and that's not spoiling anything. He's just like.
I don't know about that. I mean,
and he's not that relevant for the plot. Like if you took him out of the plot, not much would change.
Well, he's not really in the group.
He's
like kind of following them the whole time. He's like trying to catch up. He's trying to find her. He's not in the main group of characters. So
but they've officially announced a season 2 at this point. So, which is
you get a glimpse at who's going to be in it in the last few
like the new Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Oh, some type of Suicide Squad.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, there's new characters, DC great. Universe. They didn't go really heavily into anything, major from the regular Justice League element of anything.
Actually,
it's our first introduction to the new DCU, huh?
Well, I mean, technically you could say Blue Beetle, but yeah.
Well, Blue Beetle is the same canon as like his Suicide Squad stuff, where it's like light canon. Some stuff might get retconned, but this was the first DCU thing, and he actually went a lot harder with it than you would think. I mean, besides the main bad guy being Cersei and another big guy who I won't spoil, but there was a lot of just not references and look, there's Batman or stuff like that, but also he shows you it's the DC world with people that aren't just cameos. I don't want to how to say it without spoiling it, but there's just a lot of interwoven DC lore into the show.
Yeah,
that really makes it work.
It's lived in lore. It's not this is the brand new version of that character. If you're a DC fan
and you step into this, you're like, so it's just the DC universe. It's not like the MCU where everything needs to get built up step by step. Like you walk in and stuff exists.
And you'll probably agree with me, Max. I'm hoping that the rest of what he does and it feels like it is with Superman and the other shows and movies that they're doing, is going to be just lived in, is what it feels like it's going for, rather than brand new introduction.
Yes, I think he's already establishing that you don't need to do origins for characters like Batman, Superman, and I guess Wonder Woman doesn't really matter because their origins are complicated anyway. But you don't need to give origins to characters who people already know and get. I think Marvel's wasted so much time giving origins to every character they could think of that they've wasted time.
I'd argue that. I don't think it's a waste of time. They're making billions anyways. But like, I feel like they had the opportunity to, and because now that we're well seasoned in superhero movies, we don't require that anymore.
No.
But like the era of bringing someone super into a normal world, I think we've grown out of that. Now, and we want to see like an established universe with superheroes. It
feels like that's what we're going to be getting.
We're used to that now. We understand that
DC universe.
The concept
is all of their characters.
And that concept is like we're all seasoned for that anyways, right? Like because like the transition of superheroes and comics into cinema needed to happen. And they needed to kind of ease it in where like it's like a grounded world with superheroes existing in it. And now we're getting thrown into superhero worlds. But I think like we finally made it there, Like
this show does a good job at establishing the idea of his gods and monsters idea for the first act of his DCU, because you see that in a way of gods like Cersei and the idea of Themyscirans, and then monsters with the creature commandos, and you see a lot of in between with some of the characters and lore within the series. I think he did a really good job at presenting why. But when the show first came out, I kept saying, "Why is this the first show? Why is this the first show?" At the end of it, I kind of got it. Like, it's an R-rated show. It's not exactly attuned for the general masses. It's very gory. There's nudity. It's not for like the young children and stuff like that. But it shows you that this is a whole DC world that's for that's going to have a wide range of tones and a wide range of everything in it.
But at the same time, though, if somebody sat down and said, "Hey, I'm not going to watch this animation stuff. I'm just going to watch the live action movies,"
you wouldn't be.
You wouldn't need to watch it to anchor yourself to the next stuff.
Without spoiling anything, any of the events, but the stuff they did with Gorilla Grodd, when they just kind of his little cameo, I think is going to end up being a lot more important than some of the other elements in the show. I think that alternate.
But it wouldn't be missed if you hadn't watched this show, this animated series in its own.
Yes. I think this is just foreshadowing. Something that's going to happen much later.
Yeah. But either way,
I think that's the key for extended universe. Like everything should be able to stand alone.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I think everything should be able to stand alone. But I think foreshadowing is also very good. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's
move. Like
it doesn't need to. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying like it should stand alone completely. Like clues and of other things that aren't kind of story driven necessarily could be included. But
there's not an overall big bad. Is what Jason's saying.
You should be able to watch something on its own and get a beginning and end, and not have to require anything else after. No matter what it is.
Yeah, I think he's doing something different than Marvel started out with. I think what Marvel was really bad at was instead of like teasing stuff, they would just at the end credits show you what was next. And whether they got to that or didn't get to that, it was kind of.
But it worked at the beginning. Problem. But it did work at the beginning.
It worked.
It was needed.
I think less so now when they're doing stuff like
totally.
Here's Cleo and Doctor Strange, and they're just like
I'm not like phase. Was it 3? Is it 4?
I don't even remember.
I think it's phase 4. Like Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, like the only connective tissue was like the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
But like Marvel has done it right for so long, like it wouldn't be this fair to dismiss them because of this last phase.
Well, no, I'm just saying he's doing things differently instead of just. They didn't really do foreshadowing. They just did teases of like, here's what's next, of like, here's Thanos, or here's this and that. And I think James Gunn is doing it more like foreshadowing of like subtly rather than just throwing something or dangling something in front of the audience's face.
Yeah.
He's not like, oh, he's a shiny pair of keys. Here's an A-list actor in a role for a character no one's heard of. Like
I think
Harry Styles and Eternals.
We've grown out of like the keys jingling in your face, you know? It's like we see through it now.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, after Marvel and Star Wars tried to do it to us so much that like we need more than that, guys. We need more than just the glup shido showing up.
Yeah.
I still think about Star Fox showing up at the end of Eternals, and it's like I don't think anyone had a plan for Star Fox. He's just
I try not to. I try not to think about that was so bad. God. Eternals.
Yeah, that was like I think that was worse than Clea, just because it's just like
CG of like Patton Oswalt's character looked so bad.
Pip. I love Pip too. Pip's a fun character.
I completely forgot about that. I totally forgot about those characters.
I'm talking about like how bad the CG was for him.
Yeah,
you know?
I know it's kind of sad that it's like they clearly didn't even have a plan for an Eternals 2 with the idea of what these characters might do. They're just like, well, Harry Styles had a film scene for us, so we'll throw him in as Star Fox because Star Fox manipulates people's emotions to make people fall in love with him, and everyone already loves Harry Styles, so that makes sense. Haha, it's not creepy at all unless you think about it. Let's cast him, and then they just didn't have a plan for it, and now I'm sure
I'm not even tripping on who they cast as him. It's just like shoehorned into the end.
Well, I just think it's it was probably a bad idea to introduce a character like that in the first place without a plan.
Well, of all the flaws of Eternals, that's not even on my top 5.
I know. It's that's what's funny about that movie.
But like to see a clip of Eternals and like some of the action is pretty good. Like the sequences
that last
are great.
Action.
Yeah, awesome, dude. You remove it from the movie.
Yeah.
like just watching a clip of it on YouTube or something. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I saw that. It was on Instagram. It just keeps going around of that last fight.
Like Makari just beating up Icarus. That looks awesome, dude. That was sick.
I know. I was going in the theaters. I was like, oh, they actually got like the Flash kind of action right. But then right?
That's the best speedster I've seen in cinema. is
I
Makari.
was watching that movie with Brent because I got Brandon to read some of the comics beforehand, so he knew who like Crow was. So by the end of the movie, he was just pissed they just character assassinated Crow the whole movie. And at the end, I was like, they got the action pretty right in the third act. And he was just like mad about the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
like,
right. Like that's how
imagine
bad
that last act for a whole
that's
movie.
how
Though.
that's how bad that movie is. It's like it makes you not enjoy the action that's great in it. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever, man. I'm just hoping these next two movies are great.
Well, speaking of movies coming out, let's talk a little bit about what's coming out 2025. You know, we've got obviously
Superman,
we've got Superman, Captain America: Brave
Captain
New
America
World.
in a few weeks.
Thunderbolts is out. How to Train Your Dragon. I'm very excited to see the live action version of that. That's this year. I'm just looking through the list of the other stuff coming out. Another Final Destination. Oh my goodness. Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible 8. Lilo and Stitch.
So behind.
Lilo. Yeah, I know. Lilo. Sorry. Lilo and Stitch. 28 Years Later is coming out. You know, the horror one. Jurassic Park Rebirth or Jurassic World Rebirth. I'm kind of excited to see that.
I read the script. Someone shared it to Reddit. I don't know how real it is. If it's real, this is going to be a doozy of a shit
I feel like it has to be. I feel like it's going to be a good one. I don't know.
No, it follows up on the plots of the last one.
Right. Still drinking that Kool-Aid, Brent?
No, I think it might be.
This one's going to be.
It might be cool. What?
So
it's getting worse. Wait, Max, you're saying it's getting worse?
Yeah,
because it's this type of attitude.
Really?
We'll see. The problem with the last Jurassic Park movie was how it was basically Mission Impossible with dinosaurs. Right. They lost the whole horror aspect of like secluded on a park dinosaurs. That was the whole theme of these movies of why they kind of worked in terms of like tension. They're just following up on that of like the idea of they put all these dinosaurs into these reserves all around the world. But guess what? They got out. Oh no. So now these guys is going to these reserves to save and then I guess they're morphing dinosaurs together or something like genome splitting.
Right.
Keeping the dead dinosaur, man. It's never been as good.
It could be worse.
The first one.
It's just the less tension and more Mission Impossible-y.
What do you think, Elijah? Right. These Jurassic Parks. Being a fan of like the first one.
I think I only like the first one. I don't think I've ever seen any of the other movies. I don't even think I've seen part 2. Like I've maybe tried to watch parts of 2 or I've seen it on TV.
2, go
but it doesn't look as good and it's definitely not as interesting as the first one. So
it's not.
Number 2 is not interesting for me, Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't.
First one's all you need, dude. You go your rest of your life.
All you need.
Sure.
You can go the rest of your life without seeing the other ones.
Right. Sure. You don't need to revisit any. Dinosaurs coming back. Like the first one killed it. It's great. It's got a good balance in all levels, and you're just beating a dead horse. Like doing it again. It's like just too much of the same thing. It's not interesting. It's not cool. No matter what they do, and they need to stop.
They tried jingling the keys in front of us.
Yeah.
They just trying to keep that IP open. It's like they don't. Universal is just trying to keep something that they have that's hot, and they're trying to make it hot, and it's not interesting anymore. Stop. Stop.
We've got Avatar comes out next year. Number 3.
Go extinct.
Avatar 3, Fire and Ash comes out at the end of the year. Some of the other ones
I think they got pushed.
Wicked got officially
I think
or not?
Fire and Ash got pushed to like 2029.
Really? Not 2029. It's practically done.
What is this?
The next Avatar.
The next Avatar film.
Oh man, I haven't even seen the second one yet.
Really? It's on Disney+.
That's another one I have zero interest in. I had zero interest in the first one. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll never watch this again. This is
the second one's about the same as the first one, in my opinion.
It's like the opposite of IP fatigue, though. It's like, what have you been one movie every 10 years?
But the second one still did really well.
The biggest franchise of all time for like 10 weeks.
But it still did really well. The second one did extremely well. I was expecting it not to do as well.
I mean, that's Avatar tradition, the normies love it.
Yeah. Zootopia 2 is out at the end of the year. Wicked Part 2 is out this year.
I like Zootopia.
Predator Badlands is out this year, which I'll be excited to see. Running Man.
Zootopia's the
Running
Robin Hood universe.
Yeah, they're making a sequel to the Running Man. Or a
reboot.
It might be a reboot.
I think it's a reboot.
Colin Domingo, Josh Brolin, and Katie O'Brien is in it.
A reboot.
Who's running? Who's? I guess.
I guess it's Colin Domingo. Oh, Glenn Powell. I don't know. Who's
Glenn Powell. Nice.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Wait, wouldn't Josh Brolin be running because he's the oldest?
I honestly, I don't know.
He's the TV show host of the game show.
He'd be the host.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like in my head. I was like,
he's a bit old to be running.
Way past the age.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about Logan's run?
Yeah. Tron Ares.
That's exactly
that's the one. Yeah.
I got them mixed up for a second. It clicked in my head as soon as you said that.
His gym is blinking.
All sequels. Yeah, there's or reboots. Yeah, there is a lot of that happening.
There's also this week
Tron Ares comes out.
In this podcast, we don't talk about the original movies out there.
We don't. We haven't seen
IP shit.
No. But we don't know what those other films are yet.
Right, and when they
trailer drop. Yeah, like when the creator came out, we talked about it because it was a really cool trailer and it piqued our interest.
Yeah.
But until those trailers drop, I can only tell you what we are aware of in the franchising element. And
even if they do know what's coming out, they list those.
Yeah.
Well,
the Naked Gun. They're redoing the Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. I don't know why,
this says a lot on like the state of movies these days, because on paper we won't pay attention to it unless it's something familiar, or like it's for you guys or for you, Brent. Like it doesn't pique your interest unless it's like something like a remake or
it'll
an
pique. But the thing is, if there's no information, but if there's a name of a title of a film, I have no idea what it's about until I see a trailer.
But that's what I mean. Like we have this, where we're kind of stuck in this world where like we won't bother paying attention to it unless it's connected to something that's familiar. That makes it.
Yeah. Well, again, unless we know it exists, though. Until we know it exists,
most likely to see that, because when you just
I think the studios are just bad about pushing movies that they don't know that they don't think people will understand. And I think IP movies are something that they've been producing more and more because they think they have to explain less of it to people.
Exactly.
I think it's also why you see less new IPs is because they'd rather not have to explain and have to get people into something. They'd rather just have to spend less marketing on ideas and more marketing on, look, the guy you like isn't the thing you've heard of.
Yeah.
We've got it's like here's another one, Return of the Living Dead. It's been re-released a new version of it being done on December 25th. Anaconda, the one with the sea. This one's got Jack Black and Paul Rudd. It's like, okay.
I heard it's different. I heard that the Anaconda movie isn't like it's more of a satire comedy.
Yeah, it would have to be with those guys in it.
Yeah, I heard it's like not like a spoof of IP movies, but more taking the idea of the movie Anaconda. Like there's just this big snake hunting these guys and putting a bunch of comedians in it to be like, look how silly these kinds of premises are.
Yeah. It's
it's a great point. Like we are in this Hollywood age of unoriginality.
But the thing is, it's also not necessarily that they're too scared to, as much as it costs them more to take a risk on a brand new script, and it's stupidity. It's stupidity that they don't want to take a risk on something new and fresh.
Look about it on paper. They have tried it and they have failed. They've failed, but
they've also succeeded when done right. You know.
Yes, in theory, sure, but in their minds, it's like everyone making these projects is telling these studios, "Trust me, it's the next Star Wars. It's gonna be the biggest thing for us." And then when one of those fail, they end up spending like billions in terms of money on contracts for like extended shit. Like,
look at this way. Like, think of an era of time when things were very original. What we did was trusted in a handful of directors that we really liked. so they could just do whatever. It doesn't need to be an IP. We trusted that Steven Spielberg will do something original. It's just under his direction.
Yeah,
and we don't
that
really
comes out of the old Hollywood system, though.
We have that with like Nolan, where like it's like, oh shit, Christopher Nolan movie, nice.
Yeah,
or Tarantino, like director-driven movies, like just from because
what about like Robert Eggers? Edgar Wright. Like there's still a lot of
any director that people know.
I'd like to see more Edgar Wright stuff. That'd be great.
I mean, yeah, he hasn't made something big in a while.
But like there are still director-driven movies out there, but I think we're just so flooded with IP.
Of course,
That's it's a flood of them.
Yeah.
They want to.
Nolan's still a lot of people out there.
There's still that Nolan hype that we get, but like there's, even Spielberg's still making stuff, but it's not. It doesn't have like the weight that it did before.
Well, same with Zemeckis. Right. Zemeckis just came out with a movie like a couple months ago.
That's not it. Zemeckis' name isn't enough these days.
Yeah,
he's not a heavy hitter like he used to.
He hasn't
that movie also looked really heavy to watch, though. It just seemed like a very heavy experience.
I can't remember the name of that one, but I remember.
But it's not like that. Yeah. It doesn't get the hype that Nolan gets these days.
Yeah.
Well, so he's also an age director for a different audience.
Yeah, I mean that's why, and like
you can't pander that on TikTok.
Yeah.
But like, can't first trap Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's my point. Like, we just don't have the director hype these days, and we just rely on like any director who's up for hire, write this script of an IP that people recognize.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of scripts, especially horror films, they're written with how many sequels can we make in mind. Yeah.
Well, so there's also the problem of how directors come up these days, that we don't have these directors being able to make original movies. They get directors like something that's going back to like the Sony universe. They had all these scripts. All these directors had scripts written for different shit, and then they pitched it to Sony. Sony said, "Can you make it a Spider-Man thing?" And then they watered down and bullshitted their script into now it's Madam Web or now it's Craven or whatever. And then their movies sink and fail. And then they go, well, it didn't work because of X, Y, Z. Instead of saying you took an original movie and slapped an IP onto it, and now no one won.
But here's the thing, though. We all sit and watch the first trailer for any of these things a year before the film comes out, and we all go, yeah, that's just not going to work. And we say it, and we recognize that well in advance.
Because people in Hollywood these days are so focused on getting movies made, they're not thinking about whether their movie they're making is good or not. And that's also an experience of working on films that are bad. They objectively have worked on bad films, and they're just making it for ego.
This is the curse of the success of the MCU, because that was like a huge.
The MCU? Oh.
Yeah, the MCU. The success of that. We're kind of stuck in this loop where that's what matters now. It needs to be like.
Honestly, Star Wars kind of was the one that did the whole genre sequel thing, because that's what George Lucas based it on, the old TV serials.
But what I'm
that the next week, the next year, you get the next movie.
In this modern movie age,
sure,
the MCU has a huge impact on. That's why this is all we're getting. Is like IP shit, because they made massive amounts of money, like a historical amount of money on MCU.
Because when it hits. But
and they got to the point where it got to the point where you grab like great directors and this attach them to an IP.
Yeah,
it's like we have this great
like YTV Star Wars.
Great director.
I don't think that's happening anymore. I mean, it's like almost they keep saying it's unofficially.
Remember Edgar Wright Ant-Man? Like this is something that the studios did to garner. It wasn't even for audience fans. It was for the investors. It was to say we have this.
Sure.
Yeah, so the IP carries a lot more weight than most directors these days, because you're like right now, like for that era, it was like an opportunity for a great director to be a part of the MCU or Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, I think things are coming around, actually. Speaking of that, George Miller just is reportedly in talks to direct the next Thor movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like Mad Max, George Miller.
Yeah.
They might be going. I think the idea of
I haven't read that.
People like Sam Raimi and George Miller. It might be a different field of Marvel to go back to hiring great directors and saying, "Well, what's your take on these characters?"
wasn't that long ago when they were doing that.
I know, yes, but a lot of those movies didn't really pan out that well. They had
Taika Waititi's Thor was a hit, dude, and that boosted his career
like 8 years ago, though, too.
Yeah. And then he didn't care about the fourth one, so it's like you can tell lack of enthusiasm.
Making it.
Yeah, but
and he's still like a big director, but
Anyway,
I think we just like I mean that's why it's great that Nolan's out there, even though he was still connected to an IP. It didn't end his career or like slow it down. Really?
Well, when you do it well, you do a good IP movies. There's just people that get thought of as good movies.
He's a great director. He's a solid.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of I think he scared a lot of other directors out of making IP movies because he laid it on paper. If you're a good director, make good movies. You can make IP movies and not have it bog down the rest of your career as just being the Batman guy. He made Batman. He made other movies while making Batman, and just everyone can just acknowledge he made good Batman movies. But I think these days, I don't want to throw certain directors under the bus, but that last movie with George Clooney and Brad Pitt that was written by the Spider-Man guy.
Oh
no! The movie Wolves with on Apple. It was garbage. It was pure hot garbage.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
He didn't do the Nolan thing of you do your movie for them, and you do the movie for you, and have it be better.
Right. Yeah.
He did the reverse of he made a great Spider-Man movie, then he went to his movie and couldn't do shit.
Yeah. Well, James Mangold's able to get away with doing something, franchisey and then go do his own stuff. It doesn't mean it's always going to be perfect, but he's that's it. He's done some good stuff.
Or the Indiana Jones guy, he's thought of as just a great director.
Yeah, I still found nothing wrong with.
James Gunn's another one who had such a wide body of work that even though he spent the last few years of his life mainly making superhero movies, it wasn't until he took over DC Studios that you think of him as a superhero guy.
Yeah.
He's always kind of been a superhero dude, but
he kind of has.
Yeah, he's been. I think
he's really good at
the director on the widest fringe of nerd culture of movies like Super are kind of niche, but the
IP world is perfect for James Gunn because he's good at it.
Yeah,
that's so it's fine. Like in him we trust on the DCU. It's it's rare for you to be able to give like a whole IP to someone and be like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Because I'm like stoked that he's taking the reins on DCU. That's great.
Me too. Yeah.
But
I think it's good for a universe to have a vision. I think that's
I'd like to see
the Snyderverse.
I'd like to see a director-based entertainment era again. That would be great.
Well, here's the thing. Dawn of the Jedi, which is the new the title for the James Mangold film. The latest information I read is that he does want to break away from traditional what you know about Star Wars and how it's
That's formatted. The worst idea.
Which here's the thing. It's like, yes, I agree.
And already did that, dude.
Andor did that, but
he's just going to make his own lore because he doesn't want to put in the effort to actually reading the lore to bring it to life. He just thinks
George Lucas created a lore within the Skywalker story arc. This is hopefully so far back that you can start off and give a different set of laws in a different time period.
Acolyte all over again. That's what we were saying about Acolyte.
I don't know. Acolyte's not really that different of a law.
Acolyte didn't try and break canon. I think this is good.
That's what we were talking about. This like we're so removed from the Skywalker saga. It'd be so nice to see
something fresh.
Jedi not bogged down by Skywalker.
Jedi is kind of like putting Jesus in a movie. I don't know why. It just feels like it's such a big mythical figure that I almost feel like shouldn't be explored.
I'm getting like Acolyte. I'm getting Acolyte all over again. If you get like,
see, again, it's like it depends on what he does.
I'm out.
Well, it depends on what he does. I mean, he could give us something quite fantastical and something quite different and fresh. Or
don't get me wrong.
May not. We don't know yet.
I enjoyed Acolyte. Not gonna lie. There's flaws. It's not perfect. But like that bleeding of a kyber crystal is one of like my top moments in Star Wars.
It was great.
Disney Star Wars.
Yeah.
In recent history.
Well, it's the first time we got to see it in
it's
film for
simply
one.
the best live action Star Wars action maybe ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
No,
the bleeding of a kyber crystal, to see that's better than I ever imagined it looking like.
Yeah.
And like when you think about and read the lore on how they do it, all sounds pretty lame. But to the way she did, sick, dude. It's brutal.
Yeah. This stuff that we will see, obviously, because they're not picking up a season 2, that we'll see in books and comics and other material.
Those don't count.
It's just sad. It's just sad that we won't get the chance to see it on film.
Like as someone who's tried to High Republic stuff, it feels like it's just this big push for High Republic at launch with all these books and comics, and they've tried to interweave them, and then the Acolyte came and was like, so all that stuff we set up, none of that matters for the first High Republic show. So it just felt like a bigger waste of time, where it's like it's just built up in its own contained little world. It's like its own pocket dimension of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, which isn't a problem, because like Skeleton Crew exists in that type of pocket.
It's weird when they push it as an initiative, and then nothing really ties into anything or each other.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we got to stop doing, is relying on how it's connected to everything. Unless it's Andor, which is directly connected to something. But I feel like that's a brainchild of Tony Gilroy, and they let him do whatever he wants.
Sure. I mean, the characters of Rogue One were brand new characters to begin with anyway, so it's really...
But it's still like reliant on like the storyline, it's a big part of...
Well, it's actually not all new characters. Mon Mothma's pretty old.
Well, but at the same time... No, I'm saying like... But Andor
Andor's a good example of interweaving into into like an existing story done right, which other Star Wars have tried to do that, and I think has failed massively.
Screws.
Takes me out, man. I don't like seeing bricks in Star Wars.
That's
bricks and screws.
I'm an idiot.
That's a book light.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're coming up on an hour and a half. I figured we'll kind of close it off here. But guys, have a great 2025. It's going to be fun new movies and TV shows and cool stuff. And
we can look forward to that.
A lot of sequels, a lot of...
Well, focus on the movies that we'll get this year.
Sure. Yeah, we're gonna have some...
Is there a movie you liked in the past? Well, it's getting a sequel or a remake this year.
Yeah, but we can sit and talk about it. We can talk about what works from it. We can talk about what doesn't work from it. We can be surprised,
I'm excited for the Face Off sequel. I think I have all the...
Is it a sequel or is it a reboot?
I have no idea, but just the idea of another Face Off makes me so happy. Like more faces are going off. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
Perfect movie. Take bad movies and remake those. The ones that didn't work,
Maybe they were bad movies to begin with because anyway, whatever. Anyway, guys, everyone in the chat, thanks for joining us, and we will jump back in when there's some cool, fun stuff to talk about. And
we'll be back this Wednesday.
Check out Jason's channel. We're going to be on there talking about, I don't know, whatever we're going to be talking about, I guess, new stuff. And then, of course, we'll do a reaction for the season finale of The Acolyte.
I'm looking forward to some scenarios from Anchorman on Wednesday. Think of some good scenarios for us to drop.
All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you all later. Thank you. All right.
Pick another target.